Are we recording? Are we live?
Is everything recording?
Is your DJI recording?
I think so.
DJI is recording.
Lordy, this stuff's expensive. We don't. Could you look at that, please?
No. I have a tissue though.
Oh, that stays there. It hides all my little secret compartments.
Wait, are my secret compartments exposed?
Your secret workings are exposed, bro. All right, Marsh, we're here. I have a surprise here. While I'm drinking this, I just wanted to play a little music for you.
Wait, I can't hear it.
That's not it, by the way. Absolutely not it. But people are happy to see you.
What is this? What is the music?
Oh, you can't hear it.
I can't hear it. What's going on?
I can hear it great. You know what? You might as well hear it. It's got a little...
Oh, it's on well.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot you didn't have your earphones on. Cheers to me. All right. I forgot you didn't have earphones on. That's it. That's all I have for you.
There we go.
All right, sir. Here we are, Marshall.
Thanks for having me on.
I can tell you that I watch myself and I realize I don't have enough energy in my voice. So I'm going to be like more like radio voice in this one. So the people can be excited to hear me.
Very good. Very nice.
Showing the people that we have a studio that was completely built by him. Like I said, anybody needs to film any OnlyFans content or whatever, we got it, right?
Yeah, with the Jetchro gas sign in the background.
Of course, the only thing that has to happen is no matter what you do, has to have say Jetchrocast.
Yeah, it has to.
All right, Marshall. Well, we're going to talk about your religious journey. We always do this. We always do like the thing. Let's talk about your upbringing. Let's get us to like 0 to 12 real quick.
I mean, we were pretty orthodox for the most part. We went to church. I mean, anyone who's listening to this has probably listened to Max's podcast. So obviously we had the same upbringing. It was a little different for me having an older brother because he kind of set the tone for, am I talking into enough?
Yeah, just stay close.
He kind of set the tone for, I would say for me, I can't speak for Simon, but it definitely put an example above you of what you're supposed to do. For better or worse, there were some things that I didn't want to do because of the way Max did it. And there were some things that I felt like I needed to do because my older brother did it. And I didn't want to be the one to chicken out. But I mean, we got pretty lucky when we moved back to Vegas. I had really good friends in the ward. Max didn't have so many friends here in the ward. But like, I mean, Drew and Noah were like my best bros. And like, I still remember the first day coming into primary. Drew was there. I sat next to him. We've been friends ever since. And so we had a good core group of boys, and we kind of all, I wouldn't say kept each other in check, but we hung out with each other, and that made it easier to not do stupid stuff because you have good friends. So that was a big part of me. I mean, we all left on a mission within 6 months of each other. It was kind of like I went, then Drew left, then Noah left. So we were kind of all together doing the whole thing. And I would say that played a pretty big role in me not making dumb decisions.
Making dumb decisions?
Yeah.
Like what?
Breaking rules. Like I'm not, I was hanging out with the boys rather, like we weren't hanging out with a ton of chicks. It was mostly just the boys that I hung out with.
So do you really think that those would have been bad decisions, or you just thought that you call them bad decisions because you were told they were bad decisions, or because you think that they were actually bad decisions?
No. I mean, a little bit of both. I mean, to some extent, there are some bad decisions you can make in life, but also there's some things Max always had. I know this is skipping past age 12, but Max always had girls over, and it just was not, I don't know. It just wasn't appealing to me. He had a chick, and then it's another chick. And I mean, obviously you listen to Kate and Max's podcast. Kate was kind of always there in the background, but it seemed like he always had girls over. And it always felt to me like if I'm going to go on a mission, I'm probably not going to end up with one of these chicks. So like, why waste my time with it? I'll just hang out with the bros. So I would just play video games with my friends and until 4:00 in the morning. But yeah, I don't know. I had good friends. I had a lot of non-LDS friends too. Matthew, Richie, Evan, hang out with them. And, they like were pretty respectful of the fact that I was Mormon and that I didn't want to do certain things, and they never pushed me into it, but I was still exposed to a lot of that stuff.
So 0 to 8, you're going to church, typical stuff. Did you like going to church?
Yeah, I didn't. In New York, I look at Mom because she was the one that maybe would remember it. I had a hard time going to primary for some reason. I didn't want to do the, what are those things called where the kids all perform?
The sacrament?
Yeah, whatever, the presentation where you sing all the songs in front of everyone. I didn't want to do that as a little kid. I remember sitting with one of my cousins, Johnny or Remington, like down in the pews. I didn't want to go up on the stage for whatever reason. I just didn't like it. And I remember there being times where I didn't want to go to primary. Baptism, I'm very literal, like borderline, possibly autistic, probably. I remember talking to you and saying something about the sins. I got baptized second.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I was worried about the girl who got baptized first, her sins being in the water and it not being able to clean me all the way, which really bothered me. Like in my mind, I just imagined like little sin, like particles and them like sticking onto me. And now I have, how am I supposed to get rid of mine? Hers are in there.
That actually makes sense. So you're not that autistic. Or else I am too. I can see it makes sense.
So that bothered me a little bit, but I didn't really have any, I don't really remember that much of 0 to 8 in terms of church stuff. It was just like normal. It was like going to school. It's just like normal. Nothing that weird.
All right. So you go into church, you're living your life other than having some social anxiety about going on stage, what any kid would. Do you remember like 0 to 8, 0 to 10, like having, how did you feel about God? Did you have a sense of that? Or was it just, did you feel like have feelings?
No, not really. Just kind of just go. Just I don't know. I really didn't. There was. I don't know how to speak about it. There just wasn't anything happening in my brain. It was just normal. It was like you wake up, you take a shower, you go to church. Like that's it. Like I didn't feel anything. It just was what I do. I do remember singing a song when we lived in New York to Will, who was on his mission, and it was I hope they call me on a mission. It's like a little. I like vividly remember us singing, me, Simon, and Max singing that song together. So that was obviously planted on early in my life. I would have been between 3 and 5. But aside from that, everything was normal until we got into, I started getting the priesthood. And that the biggest thing about the priesthood, it felt like a big responsibility. At first, people kind of make it like, turn it into like a big deal. And then you have these 12-year-old kids who have callings over other 12-year-old kids, and they're the ones in charge of them. And I always thought it was just like this, and they have you call counselors. And I just didn't like, it just felt like there was only 4 of us, so everyone was going to take a turn. It didn't feel like, I remember thinking that this can't be inspired. It's just there's 4 kids. One of them is going to get chosen as the top one, and then it'll be the next 2 as his counselors. And then in 2 years when we're 14, someone else is going to take a turn, and then it's like that until you go on a mission. So I didn't ever really like the feeling of someone else my age, that's one of my friends, feeling like they were in charge of me. And there were some kids that were bossier than others, not saying any names, but there was one kid in particular who felt like he was really called to the position and he needed to exercise his priesthood authority over his friends. We were his friends, but he had to like tell us what to do. And that kind of bothered me a little bit.
Well, they make you think that. They make you feel like it's a big deal. Like they say, okay, the Lord has called so-and-so to be the leader of the 12-year-olds. And the parents come in and they bless them.
Yeah.
And it's like he now has stewardship over you, over the rest of the kids. And it's just,
I never liked it as a little kid. It bothered me when I was 12 years old and one kid got called. I just didn't like it. I was like, you're not going to tell me what to do. The bishop chose you. Like he just picked one of the 4 kids.
God chose. And it's worse because they tell you, don't aspire to callings in the church.
Yeah.
Don't have in your heart that you want to be the bishop or whatever, or the deacon's quorum president or whatever. But at the same time, they make such a big deal out of these leadership positions. Who wouldn't want to like think of, oh yeah, if I don't get that, I'm not cool. God doesn't like me. It doesn't.
Well, that bleeds into the mission heavily. That's a big thing in the mission, obviously.
Oh yeah. Mission. We all start getting sweaty hands. Mm-hmm. All right. So you're age 12 to 18. You're starting to grow up. You didn't really, like you mentioned, didn't really have girls around. You saw Max's podcast. Did you experience any of the similar things that he had? Did you have a fight with guilt? Did you
not a fight with guilt at all? I didn't do anything that was a problem. I had a bigger fight, and this wasn't just with church, this was at school as well, with authority figures, like just people telling me what to do and me asking questions.
Don't know where you get that from.
That was a way bigger issue for me. And at age 16, probably one of the like marking moments in like my kind of like faith journey was when we went to the Mountain Meadow Massacre.
They call it the bloodiest day in Utah history, a massacre so horrifying it was buried for decades. And it didn't happen on a battlefield. It happened in a quiet meadow in southern Utah. It was September 1857. A wagon train of about 120 settlers from Arkansas, the Baker-Fancher Party, was traveling west to California. They stopped in a green valley called Mountain Meadows, just south of present-day Enterprise, but Utah was on edge. The U.S. Army was marching toward Salt Lake City, and Mormon settlers were told to distrust outsiders. Rumors spread that these immigrants were enemies, spies even. Then, just after dawn on September 7th, gunfire erupted. The immigrants circled their wagons and fought back, believing they were under attack by Paiute warriors. But hidden among the attackers were local Mormon militiamen, disguised as native allies. The siege dragged on for 5 days. The settlers ran out of food, water, and hope, until a man carrying a white flag appeared. The militia promised them safe passage. Exhausted and desperate, the immigrants agreed. They were separated, men, women, and children, and escorted away from camp. Then, on a signal, the militia turned on them. Gunfire, screams, silence. Around 120 people were killed, nearly the entire group. Only 17 children under the age of 7 were spared, because they were considered too young to remember. Those children were taken in by local Mormon families, the same community responsible for the massacre. Many were baptized and raised as Latter-day Saints, given new names and new lives, while their parents' belongings were divided and sold. 2 years later, U.S. officials found the survivors. The children were returned to relatives in Arkansas, and the government even paid Utah families for the cost of their care. But for the survivors, the trauma never left. The massacre was covered up for years. Only one man, John D. Lee, was ever executed, shot by firing squad at the same meadow in 1877. In 2007, the LDS Church expressed profound regret, though debate over full accountability remains. Today, Mountain Meadows is calm, a memorial of stone and sagebrush, but beneath the stillness lies the bloodiest day in Utah history.
And we listened to a podcast for like probably 3 or 4 hours on the way. I don't remember where we were. We went to a soccer game up in Salt Lake, and on the way back, you wanted to stop by the Mountain Meadow Massacre site. And so we listened to a podcast for 4 hours. And I just remember thinking we're driving in the middle of nowhere, and we stopped at a gas station. There were some midgets at the gas station, I remember. And
what if they had been midget polygamists?
They probably were in that area, just knowing.
Inbred?
Probably. And I just was very like open-minded to the idea of what was going on. Like I didn't shut it down in my head that like, oh, a lot of times afterward, I'd talk to my friends about it. They'd be like, those are anti-Mormon lies. Like that's not real. And I'm like, what do you, like in my mind, it was just information. It just is what it is. And we went there, and I remember being like really confused about like, how could like 150 dudes, like one guy is like, we're going to go kill these people, and 150 guys pick up guns. And it's not like it was like right next door. It's like they didn't have cars. They had to walk out there, ride horses out there a long way. And then he's just like, yep, line them up. We're just, girls go over there, men over here. Okay, shoot them.
Anybody who doesn't know the story, I'll give you the 1-minute version. A wagon train from Arkansas is coming through from Salt Lake all the way down the wagon trail. I think they're heading to California. And at that time, there were some tensions between the territory of Utah and the United States, and whether there was going to be a war. And also there was a rumor that this particular wagon train had people or relatives of the people who had been in the mob that killed Joseph Smith in Illinois. And the tensions were high, and Brigham Young at that time, he either had an influential role from the tone he was setting or a direct role on his orders, depending on who you want to believe. But he set the tone that we're going to go to war, and anybody who comes in is not of our religion is an enemy. Anyway, this wagon train ends up just outside of Cedar City. I don't remember how many people were in it. I want to say 50 or 60. I'm just really spitballing. It's been a long time. But at the end of the day, they convinced this wagon train to surrender. And I think that they dressed up as Native Americans, and they used also actual Native Americans. And they got the wagon train to give away their guns, separate the men and the women, and they were just going to take them back to town. And then they literally massacred all the men. And I want to say women too.
No, they gave the women to the Native Americans, and the Native Americans, supposedly the Native Americans came and like scalped all the chicks. And then the only kids they kept were the ones that were under the age of 8, because they're still like
pure.
So
it's disturbing history, and they basically blamed it on one particular rogue leader that was guiding things, but he claims that he was not, and he was they actually convicted him of it and shot him at the same site over a coffin, and then they shot him while he was leaning on his coffin and thumped him in the coffin. But he claimed that that he was given orders from above. Brigham Young was all about it. So anyway, that was during that you were discussing the podcast. That was kind of in my discovery period when I was just absorbing everything. And I was like, frick, yeah, we're going to go out to this Mountain Meadows site, because the church owned it years later. It built the monument. It
has a plaque there with, I think, Gordon B. Hinckley on it. That's like, we apologize for this, which to me was like the most like shattering part of it. Was like, they've like owned, this is not, I went after to my friends, and I was like, oh yeah, we went to the Mountain Meadow Massacre site. They're like, what's that? I'm like, oh yeah, back in the day I told the whole story. And they're like, oh, those are anti-Mormon lies. I'm like, it's not anti-Mormon lies. There's a plaque with one of the prophets' faces on it saying, we apologize for what happened here. This isn't a lie. This really happened. So that really bothered me. It didn't bother me so much. It just was confusing. And then in school that year, we talked about the Nazis, and it's kind of like an ethical dilemma of who is to blame. Obviously, you blame Hitler, but Hitler didn't kill anybody. He just told people to do it. So who is the one that the blame falls onto when Judgment Day comes? Who's gonna atone for those sins? Who's gonna be in trouble for those? And that was something that always just, I could never, I felt like it was the people the lower downs. It wasn't the leader. The leader can tell you whatever he wants, but it's your decision of what you need to do. And if you decide that you're going to go and shoot someone in the head because someone else said to do it, that is on you. So that's your fault.
So that was your reason why you should question authority, because at the end of the day, it comes down to you. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so that was probably when you were 15 or 16 that happened, because it was right before Max's mission.
I was 15. Yeah, I was 15.
And then anything else from those ages let me ask you, did you have a testimony? Did you feel a conviction in your soul about the truthfulness of the gospel of Jesus Christ?
At this point in time, no, not at all.
Did you, when you would go to church and they would talk about these things, what did you think?
No, just, it didn't not resonate with me. It would be the equivalent of going to like a science class at school. It is what it is. It's just, to me, it's like it's either true or it's false. And in my mind, it was true. And so it just was true. I didn't need to feel good about it. This was just true. This is what I've been told. I'm very logical. I never been presented with outside information that would contradict it. And so for me, that was the status quo. That's what it was.
Did you ever, when you were at church in 12 to 18 years old, did you ever feel like spiritual experiences? Did you ever hear music or hear stories or get teary-eyed or?
Yeah, I mean, the music, obviously, like every once in a while you'd hear a song and you'd hear it and it hit you a little bit deeper. But to me, that experience wasn't just with church music. Like there'd be a Jack Johnson song that I'd hear that would make me feel nostalgic, make me feel the same way from when I was a little kid. And so nothing really deep, nothing really spiritual. Even up to Max leaving on his mission, there was just nothing. Actually, Max left on his mission, and it was really hard for me. I knew I wasn't going to see him for probably like 3 to 4 years. So that was really tough for me. And I remember I was in the casita and I came out here and I was like, I need to do something. Like, I don't know if I was questioning what I believed in or I was just looking for something to make me feel better. But I opened my Book of Mormon, started reading from my Book of Mormon, and it made me feel calm. I was in Mosiah chapter 2. I don't remember what it was about. I just remember reading it and making me feel calm. And that was the first time.
That's King Benjamin land, I think, getting close.
And so that was the only time I had ever actually opened my scriptures. Like, I'm going to go and open them, not for a seminary assignment, not for a church talk. Like, I'm going to go and read my scriptures on purpose was then. And it made me feel calm with Max leaving on his mission. It made me feel better about it. So that was probably one of the only spiritual experiences I had before my mission at all.
But that was just feeling calm. It wasn't like a conviction.
It wasn't a conviction of the truth or anything. I just felt peace.
But all the times that you would hear the talks, you need to pray. And did that just?
I would try and pray. And like, I just felt like I wasn't getting anything. And I would feel kind of stupid doing it too. I don't know why, but like I would pray and then I wouldn't feel anything. I'd be like, I don't know. I'd just be like, yeah, it's not in my mind. It wasn't logic. It's not logical. It doesn't make any sense to pray and get an answer. I don't understand how that works. And so in my mind, I was like, why am I going to continue to pray? This all makes sense. I just kept going back to logic over and over again. This makes sense. Joseph Smith, and he had the plates, and he saw God and Jesus. They told him to do all this, and so it makes sense. So I relied heavily on, my testimony was built upon logic. Does this make sense to me? Like I said, I had nothing to combat that at all. It just, the information I had was the information that I got from church.
So did you pray every night?
No.
Did you pray ever?
No, I tried praying a couple of different times to see if I can get an answer. I wouldn't get anything. I was like, well, this is done. I can just figure this stuff out for the way I justified it in my head was that God, I felt like I was a pretty smart kid, and God, like, he blessed me with being smart so I can figure out my own problems. He doesn't need to intervene and try and help me. I can figure stuff out on my own. And people would talk about getting ideas, and like, some people would say things like, all good things come from God. And then I'd get into a big, like, mental, like, skirmish with myself about, yeah, but am I having this idea, or is God giving me this idea? Like, which one is it? Because it can't be both. It has to be one or the other. And so when it came to, like, religious stuff and what I believed in, I just felt like I was able to logic my way through the whole thing. Like, I didn't have to have a testimony. I could prove it with logic.
Oh man, I bet that did work out well for you.
It did not work out well for me. And then the other big thing that happened was that I went on trek when I was 17.
It's that time of year again where Mormon teenagers get to cosplay pioneers crossing the western frontier. This tradition is called Trek, and it's no joke. There's a suggested dress code where girls wear long pioneer dresses and bonnets, boys wear suspenders, and they do this to honor the Mormon pioneer ancestors. Teens are assigned handcarts, and they push those handcarts up and down dirt roads over several days and camp at night. This is basically like playing Oregon Trail, but in real life, and sometimes they even assign identities to the different teenagers, so some of them die on the trail.
For those of you who don't know,
Oh boy, here we
Trek
go.
is the LDS version of Survivor, where you go,
It's like LARPing.
you go out in groups and you reenact the pioneer train, and they put you in families with a maw and a paw, and you walk around and they simulate. They put you through like mental fuckery, like they give you a doll and they tell you to care for it for 2-3 days, and then at the end they give you a note and say your baby died. Go bury it
With a spoon.
and then they go bury it in the desert, and then that's after they deprive you of food and water, like, and sleep, and so you literally feel like you're burying a real thing, and then they put you through this thing where the men can't help, and they make the women push the carts up the mountain because the men got called away to war. It's just,
Yeah, they also have dumb rules like you can't bring any food. You can't, like, which I obviously didn't listen to. I brought like a gallon of Jolly Ranchers, and I brought a bunch of beef jerky, and I hid it in the bottom of my bucket wrapped up in my underwear because I didn't want to get caught.
oh
But
yeah, you get a bucket.
you get a bucket with
Yeah,
the
5-gallon bucket,
and
that's
you
all
put
you
like
get.
a little like cushion on the top to sit on. That's what you sit on when you're tired. And I got a crappy group because I got like a bunch of little kids. It was like I was like 17. It was a bunch of like 12-year-olds.
Oh, I forgot. And you're pushing a hand cart.
You're literally pushing a hand cart. Like, it's got there's like spots for like 6 people, and some,
like little like a cart with, like, I'll put a thing on maybe, and you push these little handles. You put all your stuff in.
you
the
put your
cart.
stuff in the cart, and then when the heavier set girl in your group falls and twists her ankle, you got to pull her too.
Judas Priest.
And I was with the stake president's daughter and son-in-law at the time, so he would love to come back to our group, and he was riding on a horse, and he would walk in front of our cart, and I was literally walking through horse poop the whole time. The whole trek I was stepping in horse poop. And
Hey, I hope you watch this one too, dude. Hope you watch this one too.
Thanks for the horse poop. But what happened on that trek is that there is a time when the girls go to push the cart, they send the boys away, and you go have like 2 hours of like alone time. So they give you like a little paper, and it's like stuff to think about, like a little journal thing, and you're supposed to fill it out. And part of that is that ahead of time, they have your parents write you a letter that you're supposed to read during this time. And so my dad sent me a letter. He doesn't even remember what it has. I brought it. I kept it my whole mission. I kept my letter with me the whole mission, and I would read through it when I was having like a bad day.
Hold on, before you read it, hold on.
Why?
Just hold. I have to just set the tone here. First of all, I don't know what that letter is going to say,
It's nothing crazy.
but they literally get you, and they try and simulate what the pioneers went through, especially these 2 handcart companies that in Wyoming that basically froze to death. And what they don't tell you is the reason they froze to death is because they started way too late, but they were promised by church leaders that they would be protected. And these people are from England. They don't know the difference. And they get them to go, and they believe that these leaders, that not even one snowflake will fall upon your heads. They're buried in 10 feet of snow, dying, burying the children. And, you know, we celebrate that as like a, I don't know what you call it, like
it's like a
right, like
yeah.
Like they celebrate it as opposed to highlighting the fact it was terrible leadership. And there's a book called Heaven's Gate, I believe that's the name of it, that talks about it, how bad the Mormon leadership was. But they don't tell you that. They use it as a faith building, because when those people were stranded, the people in Salt Lake were called by the priesthood leaders to go save them, and it was a whole thing and celebrate. And it's just like, just tell the whole freaking story. Also, before you read that, second thing, trek. The concept of doing a trek is not, I don't have a problem with. Like going out, seeing what the pioneers went through, but it's they try and force you into this situation where it's like culty, like they take away all your outside influences, control your food and information, sleep and schedule, and then they start needling your brain. It
is not fun. Yeah, it is. The weirdest part, I mean, I kind of had a hack. I brought a bunch of Benadryl, so I would just take Benadryl and go to bed, but they would do like firesides, and actually on my particular trek, there was like a crazy windstorm, and they were going to cancel it. It was so bad. It was literally breaking people's tents, like blowing them over and breaking them.
I remember that.
And they had, in the stake, they have like a youth committee that they call these kids to help plan all the youth organization, all the things.
God calls them.
Yeah, all the activities. They get together. So the leaders, the adults, the responsible people are like, hey, this is too dangerous. We need to we're not, this isn't safe. It's too cold. It was like 20 degrees and super windy, like 50-mile-an-hour gusts, breaking tents. The freaking youth council, they come together and they're like, no, we should stay. We prayed about it. We feel like we need to stay. This is what the pioneers went through. And I was like, this is so stupid. I was so pissed because I was like, this was our way out. I didn't want to really be there, but also like I went because that's what you're supposed to do. And so I was not in a good mood on the trek. I was very angry, hiding my snacks. The kids.
And you're 17. You're a little bit old for it.
Yeah, and I was just.
You can't be fooled as easily.
Yeah, I was just done. I was like, this is the stupidest thing ever. I don't know who convinced me to go on this. Probably because Simon was going. I don't know. I don't remember there being any pressure from anyone, but I'm sure my friends were going. You don't get to pick your group either. They just put you with randos. So I'm with a bunch of 12-year-olds, and they suck, and they're singing Disney songs the whole time, and I'm ready to punch a 12-year-old in the face.
The group that we did it, because Rochelle and I did it, we were Paws and Maws, and we were singing Bruno Mars.
Yeah, see, that's better. I was listening to Moana soundtrack.
And then they told us that is not a church-approved song. Do not sing about bringing anybody flowers. Listen, so let me set the scene here because this is going to be a real. Marsha went on a pioneer trek when he was 17, and they had the parents write a letter that they got before he left, and they delivered it to him there. And apparently I wrote a letter to him because I look at the bottom here.
It says Jetchro.
It's whatever I say, I don't know what I said. I signed it Jetchro, which I'm super proud of. That was a long time ago. So breaking news. Are you going to read the letter?
I'm going to read the letter. This was a big deal for me on my mission. I kept this piece of paper is the piece of paper that I got on the trek, and I kept it with me my entire mission. And I would read it when I was like, I had some tough times on my mission. So I'd read it when I'm going through tough times on my mission. It says, Dearest Marshall, I hope your journey is going well and your adventures along the trail find you safe from rattlesnake bites, Indian attacks, and diarrhea. Well, a little diarrhea never hurt anyone. I quite enjoy a bout of it myself. Very cleansing, but I digress. But seriously, you're a very good boy, and I'm very proud of you. Your hard work and determination will take you to wherever you want to go in this life. Dream it, work hard, and you will achieve it. I'm very confident of this, but don't forget to take time along the way to enjoy the journey, because many times the destinations we take change along the way. You know I'm not a huge fan of much of what they do with Trek, but it will teach you to appreciate what our ancestors went through. I can't imagine our 4X great grandfather taking his wives, smiley face emoji, across the desert from Los Angeles to Paragouna only to have a baby die and buried in Cedar City. They made great sacrifices and after a long journey. They made great sacrifices during and after the journey. Take a moment to think of them along the way. Also, take time to think of the more than 100 people who died at Mountain Meadows. They paid the ultimate price for the spirit of adventure and pull to the west. That should also teach you to always question things and don't blindly accept direction from authority. Have fun, life is short, and maybe kiss a girl along the way. Love you, my son, Jetchro. So
That's pretty good, by the way.
the end part about the Mountain Meadow Massacre and the don't blindly accept direction from authority, as you guys will find out, that became a huge problem going into my mission. I was always getting in trouble at school, at high school. He had to go meet with my math teacher in high school because I just am a pain in the butt. I don't want to do. If you tell me what to do and you can't tell me why, I'm just not going to do it. It just if you can't make it make sense for me, then why are you making me do it at all? Which I feel like is fair. Maybe it's not, but I feel like
Slightly
it's pretty
autistic,
fair.
Slightly autistic.
And so going into my mission right before, obviously Max was out. I got some letters from him learning about how his mission was. There wasn't much anybody was going to tell me to get me to not go because I just, like I said earlier, I had an older brother. My dad served a mission. My uncle served missions. My grandpa served missions. My grandma and grandpa served a mission when they were a little bit older. And I wasn't going to be the first one to chicken out and not serve a mission. And so I decide, whatever, I'm going to go on a mission. I'm going to do this thing. I really hope I get called Spanish speaking because my dad speaks Spanish. I thought it was really cool. And right as I'm getting ready to, or right as I put in my papers for going on a mission, my grandpa got sick with brain cancer, which was really tough because, not to go into the distrust of like the whole medical thing, because the people here clearly misdiagnosed it by, 200%, but they had told him that he was going to live maybe up to 18 months. And I was like, I don't want to go on my mission if my grandpa is going to be around for the last year of his life. I don't want to be in Argentina. I'll just go later. And so I got really put down.
You didn't have your call yet.
I didn't even have my call yet. But I was just kind of not wanting to go. And I remember opening my mission call and trying to be excited about it. But then just like my grandpa was here in Vegas when I opened it.
Yeah, that was the last time he was here. Was it the day you opened your call, then he took off?
I just didn't, I knew he was sick and I really wasn't that excited about it. And I would have rather postponed it than leave while he was sick. So that was really, really hard. And then while he was sick, I was going up to Paraguna a bunch to help mow lawns and take care of stuff. I didn't go to church for like 2 months straight. This is like probably 2 months out for my mission.
You left your mission in November. He was sick July, August, September.
So August and September, I didn't go to church at all. I don't think I went a single time, which was kind of weird because I don't know. I mean, that actually, there's one other thing that was important. That July, Bond got home from his mission.
Your cousin?
My cousin Bond got home from his mission in Thailand, and we went, Kate and Zach were living in Utah, and they came down. And after Bond got back,
Kate
we went to
and
his
Zach
farewell.
are, for those who don't know, Zach is my brother, and Kate is Rochelle's sister. They're married.
Mm-hmm. And I'm very close with Kate and Zach. I've always have been. And we went to, do you remember when we went to the thing, we came back, we were talking about, we sat here on the couch and we were talking about, I don't remember how I don't know if you brought it up or
We went to what thing?
We went to Bond's farewell for
is that what
his
it was?
homecoming. And then we came back and we were, for some reason, we got caught up in a conversation about if Noah's Ark story really happened, if it really flooded the whole world.
Oh, we didn't get there yet.
Yeah, I think that's how it got brought up, was with the flood. It was Noah's Ark, the flood. Was it a localized event? Was it the whole world? My dad is kind of saying, well, maybe it is just in an area. And I don't know how that spills over into Joseph Smith's first vision, but somehow the conversation steers there about Joseph Smith.
Well, what happened was we were talking about the Old Testament, how it doesn't. If it's literal, it's fucked up.
It's messed up.
I mean, you got two daughters getting their dad drunk and banging him so they can have kids.
Or Sodom and Gomorrah just blowing up a whole city of people.
But that was Sodom and Gomorrah. That was why they had to rape the dad, because the mom got turned into salt.
Oh, that's right.
I've been assaulted. That's my joke. Listen, so we start, and then I start talking about how they don't tell all the information like in the discussions, and then I think Zach was like, "Well, what would you want them to say? Like, what story would you like them to tell?" And I said, well, they should say, Joseph Smith told 5 different stories as to what happened in the first vision, and none of them were consistent.
And I'm like, what the heck? What are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, he's like, I'm a lawyer. He's like, Joseph Smith told 5 different stories, like 5 different ways. So like, how does that add up? Like if you were doing that in court and you were trying to defend yourself and you told 5 different stories, your story wouldn't make any sense.
No, matter of fact, in litigation, you take someone's deposition during discovery, which is basically you ask them questions about the case, and there's a court reporter. And then you get that transcript. And then if they go testify at trial and they give a different answer, you do what's called impeachment. You pull out say, you said the sky is blue. What color was the sky on the day of the accident at trial? They say it was whatever. It was gray. It was overcast. Oh, well, let me present you with your deposition testimony that says on the day you said it was blue, the sky was blue. It was clear. So are you lying then, or are you lying now?
You were lying at some point because one of the stories weren't true.
That's one inconsistency.
Yeah,
not
four. So that, from a logical standpoint, that really, really bothered me.
Frick,
like really, really, really bad. And
oops, I did it again.
It opened a whole nother can of worms into me looking into it and trying to figure out. And I didn't go deep like into a bunch of church topics. I just wanted to get all the right information. If I'm going to go on a mission and I'm going to convince people to be part of this religion, I should know what's going on. And so I researched a lot on the first vision.
When was the research? Before you went on your mission?
Before I left.
Okay.
Researched a lot on the first vision, figured out that there were 5 different stories. The one that they have the missionaries kind of preach to people is like the best of all of them. They kind of take all the best elements. Like Satan was there and was trying to stop him. And on top of that, he saw God and Jesus, and they told him that he needs to start a church and he's forgiven of his sins. There's no angels in that one though, which is kind of weird because in some of them he just hears angels singing. There's no angel singing in this one. So I was like, I need to get my story straight before I go and talk to other people. So I did that. I was still
what were you researching? What were you using to research?
I
remember telling you to read the gospel.
That's probably where I got it from.
Essays.
I probably looked up the gospel topic essay for that one. That's all I read. I didn't read anything else. Maybe I read the Mountain Meadow Massacre one. Maybe. But I definitely didn't do anything about black people in the priesthood. I didn't do anything about polygamy or anything about Brigham Young. That was it. So I felt like I had that one squared up. I was okay. Yeah, I didn't know this, but the church has a gospel topic essay about it. And so that's okay. I can reason my way I can still go on a mission. This makes sense still. Then going on the mission, obviously nerve-wracking, horrible.
Hey, Marshall. Keep going, and that's how your heart gets ripped out. Sucks. Thanks for watching.
Well, I got called to Argentina, and they had an MTC down there. Most of the MTCs are closed, which are missionary training centers. That's where they teach you how to be a missionary. I went to the MTC in Argentina where they train the missionaries on, primarily how to speak Spanish, because obviously I didn't speak any Spanish. And so I get down there. The first day they start going over your objective as a missionary. And your objective is to invite others to come unto Christ through faith, repentance, baptism, and getting the Holy Ghost. But they put a really big emphasis on baptism. Like right off the bat, it's all about baptism. There's pictures of Jesus getting baptized everywhere. That's all they're talking to you about is baptism. And I'm like, oh, this seems a little bit weird. Like I've heard other people go on missions, and I listened to Max's story of going on a mission when he was out there, and it's like a lot of times they would visit less active members. So they were focusing a lot on baptism, and you have to memorize certain things, and they don't really tell you what's going to happen if you don't, but like every day you're supposed to have a certain amount of stuff memorized. And it was kind of like it was like being back in high school again. I just didn't really want to listen to their rules, and I really wanted to learn the Spanish. So we had a grammar book. I'd spend all of my time just going over Spanish grammar. I wanted to learn how to speak really well, and I wasn't concerned at all about memorizing. The big thing is that you had to pass off Joseph Smith's first vision. You had to memorize it and pass it off.
Could you do it right now?
Probably not.
Vi una columna de luz.
Más
brillante que el sol.
I don't even remember it.
No,
I probably said it. I did it in the MTC, and I remember not feeling good. I felt like I was lying.
Did you have to do DNC 4?
I think we were supposed to. I don't think I did.
Está a punto. No?
Yeah, no, I don't remember. I didn't memorize a lot of stuff. I really didn't. I thought the Spanish was more important in my mind. I was like, I can learn this stuff later on, and I don't need to have any of this memorized, but I need to know how to speak Spanish. And so I go through the MTC. Actually, the first day my companion didn't show up. He was late. His plane got later. He missed the flight. So I was in the MTC with no companion for the first 36 hours. I just was walking around by myself. Like, this is awesome. I don't have a companion. And the first thing they did when I got to the MTC is they took away my camera. You were not allowed to have your camera in the MTC.
Really?
You were not allowed to take pictures, only on P Day, and you were not allowed to have it out. Like, you were not supposed to have your camera. So they took all of our cameras away, which I didn't give up. I just told them I didn't have one, and I hid it in my bag, and I would take secret selfies. And I remember the day that I got there, I was supposed to be able to talk to my family, and they gave us like 10 minutes to call our family and say, hey, I made it okay. Like, I have no cell phone. I have no way
You had no cell phone.
Okay. I'm not supposed to have a cell phone. Before I left, my dad hooked me up. He got me like one of those little burner phones from Best Buy. It was like $60. The little SIM card, a couple seasons of The Office, some music. Oh, I had an MP3 player with music. I brought AirPods. Those are all against the rules.
I loaded him up. I was like, you're going to want all this.
Yeah. And
That's why you didn't make it, by the way.
Yeah, it's because I was disobedient from the get-go. And so I had my MP3 player in the MTC, and I would listen to like Jack Johnson or Bob Marley at nighttime. I kept it under my pillow, like in my pillowcase, and I would listen to it. And the MTC was a little bit weird. I guess I kind of skipped over going through the temple. Nothing really that special happened to me. I thought it was really weird. My dad told me beforehand, hey, by the way, it's going to be kind of weird. And we didn't do the thing where you invite like 50 people to do it. It was just my dad and I. We rode across town. He's like, there's going to be some handshakes. There's going to be some other weird stuff. And then that's it. And I remember sitting in the temple, and they did the prayer circle, and it freaked me out. I watched Supernatural growing up, and that is like what they do when they're like going to bring someone back from the dead, like a bunch of vampires or something. And I was like, what are they doing? And they're like doing a whole circle, and they're like chanting. And I was like, this is freaking weird.
Dude, it was just like Naughty by Nature video. Hip hop hooray.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, anyway.
It's a really, really weird thing that's going on. And so
I thought that I'd prepared you for everything. And then I thought that the handshakes would freak you out, the weird whatever.
The handshakes were cool.
And I didn't cover the prayer circle.
Didn't cover the prayer circle. That was
really that.
I didn't know what was going on. It was a lot to digest, like right in the moment. And then like a week later, I'm leaving to the mission, and I went to the temple one time, and then I get to Argentina, and every P Day we have to go through the temple and do the whole thing, but it was all in Spanish. So not only do I'm already nervous because I'm supposed to try to remember all this stuff, and I feel like it's a test, and I'm gonna fail, and they're not gonna let me through, and I'm gonna get stuck.
That's what's gonna be like when you die.
I know.
Get ready for that.
And so I was really nervous about going in the temple in the MTC, and I just didn't like it. I was like, can I just not go? Is that an option?
Did you ever feel like you weren't changing your clothes fast enough? You were going to be the last guy.
Yeah.
That was the worst. And these people would be ready. They'd already have the shoes off.
I don't know how.
And they're flipping the robe, and they're tying I'm like, oh shit, he's going so fast.
It was it's stressful. The temple is stressful. I would bring it.
I would practice at home.
Would you fall asleep ever?
No, I was stressing. I would practice at home.
No, you
doing
wouldn't.
the clothes change, just so I could be like first or second. You know what I mean? Like these motherfuckers, I'm gonna be fast.
He's practicing at home.
I want to be first guy in heaven, bro.
No, anyway. I was not the first. I would bring Jolly Ranchers in. I felt like that.
To this day, if you need me to tie a bow with one hand, I could do that. I'm unhinged in this one. You guys asked for it. You want Mormon content,
and so that was a little bit. Crazy. MTC. Aside from that, nothing really that weird. Just trying to brainwash you into thinking that you need to baptize, and I just wouldn't let it get to me. One tool that I used a lot was I would write in my journal, and I felt like in my journal I could like stay true to myself and remind myself and like read my old journal, and like I had like letters like this. Max had written me a letter that I probably on my mission, I was there for, I don't want to spoil the story, but I probably read it 200 times on my mission, like almost every day. It was like one of the things that kept me grounded. Was reading a letter that Max had written to me. So I go through the MTC, get out into my area with my first companion. They drop me off at a church building. It's freaking hot, no air conditioning. My companion walks up to me with a brown rimmed collar.
Was he gringo?
Gringo.
Okay.
From Missouri.
Oh man.
And he hugs me and he says, "Sorry if I smell bad. I ran out of deodorant. I've been rubbing a lemon in my armpit for the last 3 days." That's what he told me. That was my first experience in the mission field, was
Damn.
him. You can imagine when I get back to our little apartment, how it was filthy. There was dirt everywhere. There was just like literally like a trash can with maggots crawling out of it. Like just disgusting. I don't know. I still have bad dreams about that first transfer to this day. It still haunts me. And the kid was gross. He wouldn't take showers. He would just get a towel and dip it in the sink and then wipe himself down with it.
You know why he didn't get in the shower?
I don't know.
I know why.
Why?
I think he had a masturbation problem, and I think he was afraid to be alone in the shower.
We didn't have hot water, though.
Oh, that's another level. Okay, anyway, keep going.
Talk about shrinkage. Anyway, so he was gross. He wouldn't wash his garments. He would put them out, which is like, your garments are supposed to be clean. Like they're supposed to, it's like a holy thing. He would hang them up in the closet, and he said if you let them soak for 10 days in the air, that they become clean again.
Bedroom. I'll do a quick little tour. Here's my nightstand. There's my bed. There's my clothes in there. My comp clothes over there. His bed.
And so he would we're in Argentina in the summertime. His garments are brown, like brown. And it was
What's this guy's name? I gotta find him.
His last name was Aldridge.
Oh, we gotta look this guy up.
I don't know if I could find him.
I bet he's got 8 kids by now.
Oh, he definitely. No, I actually know that he proposed to 2 girls after the mission. They both said no to him, so I felt kind of bad for him. But he was also weird. Like, never brushed his teeth. He would use like a 50-cent razor for like 6 months at a time, and like you could hear it like dragging across his hair. AMSMR. It was so bad. And so he was not good. He would cry all the time. He's like, I was kind of grumpy. I didn't like him. I just was having a hard time adapting, not so much to Argentina, but more of the mission. So I was kind of grouchy, and he would just cry, and like we just have so much contention in our companionship. Blah,
Would you
blah,
argue
blah.
with him, or was it just like you didn't really interact with him?
No, I would just ignore him.
Yeah, I mean, I would do 3-4 days without talking to a companion.
I would do that. I would try to not talk to him, or I'd like walk on the other side of the street from him, and then he would just start crying.
No, I would like it when they would cry. I'd say cry.
I wouldn't say that. I just wouldn't say anything. I would just like do whatever. But like I would wake up an hour early. I'd wake up at 5:30 and go up to the roof and listen to music.
I remembered you had the
and
roof.
Wash my
You really
clothes.
liked the roof.
I loved the roof. It was like my favorite spot.
Really quickly, this is the roof, but this is my laundry. We just wash everything in this little sink right here. I'm gonna keep this video short so it uploads. A bunch of crap some people left. Yeah, here it is up here. Peace.
And I'd make slingshots out of like a little twig branch, and I'd buy these little like rubber bands and get like an old shoe and cut up the piece of an old shoe and then tie it on there so I could shoot there's like little like green birds flying around. I'd try and shoot them.
I remember you gave it to the kids too, right?
I would give it, I made like a couple of them and give them to little kids.
Just want to show you guys a little project I've been working on. I'm making these gomeras. Yeah, they're pretty sick. I make them myself. See that little blacking? It's a piece of a tire. That's a stick I found yesterday. That's an old piece of a shoe from a shoe I found. And I bought these things for like 15 pesos a piece, so like, no, less than 50 cents. And I have 3 of them. I make them for this little family that's down in Paraguayan areas. This one's an unfinished one. I need to find the stick still. Found a whole bike tire. I just brought the whole bike tire with me back to the bench. I've just been taking it apart. It's freaking sick.
So the first transfer was really rough.
Mom, you guys are the best. Max, do good out there in France. Thanks for all the life advice about being a missionary. Dad, how do I not kill my companion?
2 weeks into the second transfer, I got switched out. Some kid banged a chick inside of a church building, right where they do the sacrament.
What? Mormon? That was a gringo guy, right?
No, that was a guy from Chile.
Oh, the Chilean.
And the chick, I met the chick that he...
Was she cute?
No. She was a smoker, had like no teeth.
Can you imagine being on a mission and you're going to do that? Bad enough, you do it in the church at the
with
sacrament
an ugly
thing?
girl. I think they did it all over the place.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. Some of those Latino guys, and you know I love Latinos, they were sending money home. They were on the mission.
Money
they were They were taking their mission money and spending half of it and sending it home. I swear they were there to make money, not to be missionaries.
They couldn't.
Apparently to bang chicks too.
They couldn't do it in Argentina. They were going through like a crazy inflation event, and so when I got there, $1 was like 16 pesos, and then by the time I left, it was like 100.
Oh.
And the church wouldn't keep up with it, so you never had enough money. Like I always had to ask my mom for more money because I wouldn't even have enough money to buy groceries like every week. Huh? Yeah, it was like we got like $50 a month is what we were getting, which kind of made me feel slighted in a sense because I felt like if you're gonna pay, you're paying $400 a month for something, and then you're getting like $50 back.
Yeah, but we were making out on the France side.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
we were
You
winning
weren't
on
having
we
to pay
were
on
winning in
Max's side.
France and losing.
So
in
it was
Argentina.
evening out.
Yeah,
But
that's the concept.
It kind of made me
concepts. Don't you think it's fair? It used to be if you got called to a Argentina mission, it cost you $5 the entire mission. If you got called to Europe, it was $15,000.
Yeah, that's true. If the church doesn't have $120 billion, like, well, I can't eat any food.
Elder, where's your faith?
I have faith. I have faith that they have $120 billion.
Keep going.
So that bothered me a lot. Moving through the mission, and then I got with Latino companions. They were my favorite. I learned Spanish really fast. They would let me play music out loud.
Let's talk about reggaeton. When did you first discover the most beautiful music in the world ever was created? Even better than the music played when Eve had her chirping bird chorus in the Garden of Eden.
The first day of the mission, we were riding in a taxi over to the thing, and they were playing music. And my companion looks at me. He asked the taxi driver to turn the music down. And I was like, why? We're speaking in English, and so he doesn't understand. I'm like, why did you do that? He's like, oh, that's reggaeton. It's really bad music. Like, you don't want to listen to that.
And you're like, oh.
And I was like, wait a second. Now if you're telling me not to do something, now I got to do it.
Oh, the white guy didn't like the
white guy didn't like the reggaeton. He said it's bad because a lot of the Spanish music is very, it's very sexual, and it has a different tone. It's very romantic music. And so
if you translate what it says into English, it just sounds awful. Some of it
sounds awful.
It sounds really good in Spanish, though.
Mm-hmm. And so I started getting into I started liking it. I listened to it. Like, people would just play outside, so I'd listen to reggaeton all the time, and I just loved it. It was like the best thing ever. And so then when I got with the Latino companions, they would let me play reggaeton sometimes in the apartment, or they wouldn't care. I listened to a lot of Maná with one of my companions from Ecuador, and I would actually like write down all the lyrics to try and learn what all the different words meant, which was like a good practice for learning Spanish.
What was your favorite Maná song?
In my mission, probably, it's crazy saying it as a missionary, but Labios Compartidos was my favorite one.
Okay.
I don't know why, I just like that song a lot.
And favorite reggaeton artist?
Right now or back then?
No, back then.
Anuel.
I had it queued up, baby. He's got a good voice.
I loved Anuel. He was with Karol G back then. They were just the best power couple in music. It'd be like if it was like when Drake and Rihanna were together. That's like the equivalent. Yeah. It's like groundbreaking, the best thing ever. So I start falling in love with Argentina. I start falling in love with the culture. They love soccer. I'm playing soccer all the time. They would set up these dumb rules where it's like you can only play soccer for 45 minutes.
The mission rules.
The mission rules, which for anyone who doesn't know about the mission, there is a difference between like church rules and mission rules. There's some stuff that the church says, like, for example, you have to wake up every day at 6:30 exactly. Like, if you wake up at 6:31, that's like the equivalent of a sin on the mission. It's like a big deal. You cannot wake up late. Your day is planned out for you, like, minute by minute the whole day. You know, like, there's literally a schedule of what you're supposed to be doing every minute of the day. And if you're my first companion, if it was, we were supposed to leave the apartment at 10:30, if it was 10:31, he would be like freaking out. Like, one day he spilled water everywhere and I was cleaning it up. And he tried to grab the squeegee out of my hands, and I smacked him with it because I'm like, dude, we're not leaving until this water's clean. It's going to be gross when we get back. He's like literally in tears. It's 10:32. We have to be out of the apartment. It was horrible. And I'm a person who doesn't like following rules anyway. And then you're going to like force them on me like that. It was just driving me crazy. It did not mesh well. But I loved Argentina. I loved the people. I loved the culture. I loved everything about it. And so that kind of became like my thing that I grasped onto was like soccer every Wednesday night at 4 or 5 o'clock. That was like my break of the week. It was like, I got it then. And I started my mission not being able to talk to my family, just emails and like chat. And then maybe 4 or 5 months into my mission, they made it so we could call we used to only be able to call on Mother's Day and on Christmas. That was it. And then they changed it so that way I could call every single Monday.
And it was like video calls.
Yeah, which was like a huge deal. In my mind, it didn't make any sense. Like, how come for the last 10 years, they've had the ability to do this and they didn't? And now all of a sudden it's just different. Now you can just call. And now kids have phones on missions and they have their own tablets or whatever. And I had a little Nokia type phone and that's all I had.
Oh yeah, you didn't have tablets like Max.
Nope, no tablets.
But you went to the computer.
So we had to go to the Seavers, what we called it, and we would go in and talk to our families there. But like there would be missionaries looking over your shoulder to see if you're doing what you're supposed to do or not. And it was really, it would be really frustrating. I was reading in my journal today of like some guy giving another missionary a really hard time for being on Facebook and talking to his family instead of on Google Meets. Like you're being disobedient, and everything in the mission's about obedience.
Oh, okay, that makes no sense.
So that was just a big struggle for me, was trying to figure out what the church was telling me to do, what the prophet was saying, which in my mind made sense. The prophets talk to God versus what my mission president is saying. Because this is like a Mountain Meadow Massacre type situation. Like the leader right above me is telling me to do something, and then the church is saying to do something different. What am I supposed to follow? And the big deal for me was with baptism. I didn't like that they were pushing so hard for baptism. You have to get 4, they called it Cuatro por Cristo, like 4 baptisms every single month. That was the big deal.
4 for Christ.
4 for Christ. 4 baptisms a month. And if you didn't get 4, it's because you were being disobedient. That was it. End of the story. That really bothered me. I didn't like that at all. It was very data driven. Every day you have to send in how many people did you talk to? How many people did you invite to church? How many people did you invite to be baptized? How many less active members did you visit? How many lessons did you teach? How many lessons did you teach with a member present? And how many baptisms do you have scheduled for this weekend? Every day you had to send those numbers in on a crappy little phone. And if you didn't send your numbers in at exactly 10:30, you were like screwed. Like you'd get called from the president or the APs, like, why are your numbers not in? It was like a big deal. So that really, really bothered me. But I wasn't senior companion ever, so that was never my issue. Senior comp had to put in the numbers. So I just was able to turn a blind eye to it. But my first baptism was a little 14-year-old girl named Camila. And she was not interested in going to church. Like, just wasn't interested. She was actually living with her uncle, was in a relationship with her uncle. Which was
Relationship?
Relationship. Like sexual relationship with her uncle.
She told you guys?
Yes.
Oh,
Because
she needed some baptism.
She told us that in the baptism interview.
Oh, Lordy.
And my companion or the district leader was like, well, you just promise to never do it again, and then you can get baptized. And she was like, yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on, because I like to make reels out of this. So the first girl you baptized in Argentina was 14 years old.
She's 14 years old.
And in the baptismal interview, she told the district leader, the person that was supposed to clear her to see if she could be baptized, that she was having sexual relations with her uncle.
Oh, yeah, we already knew, but he asked her if she was still doing it. And she said yes.
How old was the uncle?
He was probably like late 20s. It was like a weird...
Okay.
They're probably 14 years apart.
So...
He was just taking after Joseph Smith.
You see, I started to go there. And then I defended Joseph Smith. I'm like, well, he wasn't her uncle. It wasn't that bad. He wasn't like an incestual pedophile.
No, just a pedophile. So then the district leader says, or will you promise to not do it? And she
that's
says,
not
yes.
okay.
And so then
did anybody like talk to the president and be like, she's being molested by the uncle?
No, the only time you had to talk to the president is if they were like mentally retarded or had an abortion or killed someone. That was it.
Okay, so she promised not to do it anymore, as if it was something she was doing wrong.
Yeah, but I could look in her eyes and none of the information was registering. Like she wasn't comprehending anything that was being told to her. Like she didn't. I don't know if she was on drugs. I don't know what was happening, but I could just see like a blank look in her face. For some reason, she pointed. He said, "Who do you want to baptize you?" And she pointed at me. So now I got to go baptize this girl. And I'm like, first of all, I don't understand Spanish. Second of all, I don't know what's not that well. And I don't really know like why we're baptizing this girl. And we would have to get people to go to church in Argentina. You would go and get what's called a remise. It's like a Uber. And so you'd go to a spot. We need a remise. We're going to go over here. So we get in the remise. We ride over to the spot. We pick them up and we drive them to church. That's the only way you could get people to church. They would not take a bus. They would not walk. And you have to go to church twice before you can get baptized, minimum. So they would spend, the elders would spend a ton of their money on these like taxis to get people to go to church so that way they could, and this wasn't like you got extra money. It's not like you got a change order. You just had to spend your own asignación, your own, what's it called? Budget to be able to take the people. And I didn't agree with that. I thought that was messed up. Like you're making it so easy for them to get the 2 attendances to go to church. And then after that, they're just never going to go. If they won't go twice by themselves, why would they go after that? So it didn't make sense in my brain and it really bothered me, but I baptized the girl. We baptized some other kid later on, and total in my mission, I baptized 6 or 7 people. Did
the girl ever come back to church?
No, never. She went to church and it was weird because you have to go to church on Sunday. You get baptized on Saturday, and then the next Sunday you get confirmed, or the day after you get confirmed. She didn't come to her baptism on Saturday, but my companion convinced her to come to church on Sunday, and we baptized her after church. And then you're supposed to do the confirmation. The bishop's supposed to do it in front of the ward. They did it right then and there on the spot.
Because they knew she wasn't coming back.
They knew she wasn't coming back, but they wanted to get the number locked in. And in this specific ward, the ward was Villa Amelia, and there were over 1,000 members on the registry, and there were like 30 people who went to church every week. So there was like, it was less than 10% of the members who had ever been baptized in this area were still going to church. And it was the same people who had been going to church for like 30 years. Like there wasn't anyone new. And so we would spend time chasing people down. It would just seem like a big waste of time. Like going through it, my first 2 months in the mission, I was like, this is a huge waste. We're baptizing people. They're not coming back to church. And then luckily, 4 months into my mission, Boyd K. Packer comes out with a talk and says, hey, we need to stop doing this. Why are we baptizing people and letting them walk out the back door? And so my mission president, the way that he decided to change it was that instead of texting in your number of how many people did you invite to be baptized, it was how many people did the Spirit tell you to invite to be baptized? But if you had 30 contacts and you had 20 invitations to baptism, they would say, what happened to the other 10 people? Why were you not feeling the Spirit for those 10 people? Because the Spirit will always tell you to invite someone to be baptized.
Wow.
It was just so stupid. It just made me so angry. It makes me angry just thinking about it. And I remember complaining about this to my brother, Max, and he wrote me a letter that was basically just like, don't worry about the numbers. In the long run, like in 20 years from now, you're not going to be upset that you were trying to do the right thing. And so that's what I focused on, was just trying to do what I thought was right. And I don't want to be the guy at Mount Mena Massacre I'm not killing people and baptizing people, but I want to be able to sleep with myself and know that I did what I thought was right and not just whatever someone told me to do. So that really, really like dragged on throughout the mission pretty bad.
So were you looking into doctrinal issues then? You mentioned you got into what was the thing you were looking into?
At this point, I hadn't. Within the first 6 months of my mission,
the first vision was kind of your first level.
That was before my mission.
Okay.
And I refused to do the first vision in lessons. And I was smart enough to, like, I could plan out the word tracks in my head, and I would just make sure that I would either double up and do one right before and make my companion do the first vision, or I would just plan it out so where it would never land on me. But I would never tell my companions I don't want to say it. I would just make it so it doesn't ever turn out that way. And one of my companions eventually caught on, like, why do you never do the first vision? And I was like, well, that's just not really what happened. And he was like, what do you mean? And so I just said that he had multiple accounts. Like, this is not 100% exactly what happened. We don't know that. And he was
not
like,
that probably any of it actually happened.
Yeah. He's like, you don't have enough faith. Like, you just have to have more faith. And I'm like, I do have faith. It's on the church's website, dummy. So that made me, I would get angry. And there was a couple of times where I'd get confrontational with people about it. Like, you don't know. I know more than you. I have more information than you. And you're calling me stupid. Like, you're the stupid one. That would make me really upset. So that dragged on throughout the entire mission.
But you were not getting into doctrinal stuff.
No, not within the first 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
And then eventually I became senior companion. So I was the one in charge of the companionship. And I became district leader to there was 2 companionships of girls, and I was in charge of them, which was like the best thing ever. Because we would do meetings, and they would
the girl missionaries are the cool ones.
They're the cool ones, because you just say, hey, you need to make brownies, you need to make banana muffins, you need to bring chocolate milk.
I was like, they were cool. I didn't know you made them.
Oh no, yeah,
you.
No, we'd have district meet, and they would love to do it.
Way to use the power of the priesthood elder.
It was amazing. They would bring me treats every district meeting. I loved it. But at that point, I started really getting hounded because I was in charge for not having enough baptisms, not having enough church attendances, not having enough contacts. And I would lie about my numbers. I would just type in what they wanted to hear every night and just send it.
But if it's not converting to baptisms, you're just setting yourself up.
Exactly. They're like, well, you're doing all the right stuff, but you're not having baptisms, so you must be lacking faith. Why are you disobedient?
Do we need to bring in a closer?
Exactly. And so at that point, I started catching a lot of crap from the mission about it. And so it started to really dampen my belief in local leaders being called of God, because I'm like, these guys are freaking idiots. The prophet just said we need to stop worrying about baptism so much, and these guys they're not up to speed. They're still on the old
Was
program.
Packer the prophet?
No.
He never made it, did he?
He never made it.
Okay.
But he was one of the prophets,
I know what you're saying. I was just trying to remember.
And so I started researching. I started reading. I don't know why. I just started reading more. I got into the gospel topic essays. Probably someone asked me about something, and I started reading about black people in the priesthood, Brigham Young, Adam God theory. I read probably the first 2 or 3 chapters of like a Rough Stone Rolling. But I would print them out. I couldn't get caught with it because you're not supposed to have it. And so what I would do is I would print off some random church talk at the Sieber, and then I would print off whatever I wanted to read and just put it behind it. So no one would know what I had. The top just looks like a talk. And then I would secretly read these things and like, what the heck is going on? And another big point of conflict was that I had one lady and we were trying to baptize her, but she wouldn't stop drinking coffee. And my companion's like, dude, you just have to testify that if you don't drink coffee, that you'll be able to live with your family forever. And I'm like, dude, my freaking mom drinks coffee. Do I really think my mom's not going to go to heaven because she drinks coffee? Probably not. But I don't know where that came from. Like,
well, under Mormon doctrine, it's true.
It is true under Mormon doctrine. But in my mind, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. You just drink coffee because they all drink mate down there, which is basically tea. It is tea. Like, there's no difference, except instead of putting it in a tea bag, you put it into a little like cup, and then you put a straw that has a filter at the bottom, and you drink out of the bottom of the cup. You could put sugar
Instead
in there,
of a teacup.
It
Instead
is
of
tea.
a tea bag, right?
Yeah, it's literally tea. But for some reason in Argentina, it's okay. And I'm like, this is so stupid. Like, if they can then tea, then I start reading of Doctrine and Covenants. I'm like, it doesn't even say anything really about like coffee and tea specifically. It just says hot drinks are not for the belly. I'm like, what does that even mean? And the first sentence of the Word of Wisdom says this is by way of counsel, not by way of commandment. I'm like, so this isn't a commandment. This is like, hey, this is a good idea of how to be healthy. And so I'm like, my mom's not going to not make it to heaven because of coffee. It doesn't make any sense. So then I had to convince my companion that I'm not going to testify about the Word of Wisdom to some lady we're trying to baptize. So it's like, I'm fighting baptism. I'm fighting now the actual religious beliefs of the church that I'm serving a mission for. And it really started like backfire. Like, I started having problems and fighting with people. I kept doing more research. And that lady, it turned out she was actually smoking too. She wasn't just drinking coffee. So we were trying to, I don't know what Latino guy made this up, but it's like if you drink a bunch of orange juice and like citrus.
I bet it included lime or lemon in it too.
It was, we would go buy all the citruses and drop them off at our house. And like, if you get cravings for smoking, just drink the citrus or eat an orange and you won't have cravings anymore. I don't know if that's true, but we did that. We would go and buy her grapefruits and oranges and lemons and limes and orange juice and give it to her and try to get her to stop. And she wouldn't ever stop smoking.
And so, it's so crazy because it sounds like stalker behavior.
Yeah.
But when you have somebody who who will actually listen to you and may actually get baptized, it's the biggest adrenaline rush. You are so in it. You're like, finally.
Yeah.
And then you're like trying to invent in your mind little miracles that are going to happen to make this baptism happen so you can tell a cool story about it. You're just like, you're looking for anything. And I was prompted to buy this specific grapefruit and I gave it to her. She stopped smoking.
It's how most people's I think that's how most people's spiritual stories are get made up kind of, is like you kind of tell yourself the story while you're doing it. Like, this is going to be a spiritual experience. And then you're doing something that maybe is logical. And then you end up like, look, it worked out because it was spiritual. But no, it just is like, you just did what you're supposed to do.
Everything's a miracle.
And so,
let her home.
So I wouldn't baptize that chick. I would not do it. I refused to baptize her because she was still smoking. I'm like, well, it says you can't smoke. So if she's smoking, I wouldn't have told her to get baptized if she was drinking coffee. I just said I wouldn't testify about it. But she wouldn't stop smoking. I got transferred out of the area. Sister missionaries come in. 2 weeks later, the lady's baptized. I'm like, what the frick? I know she didn't stop smoking.
The citrus worked.
It did. I guarantee it didn't work. We tried for 2 months to get this lady to stop smoking, and she would not stop. And I'm like, whatever. You're not going to go to heaven. Who cares? And so that's important because that comes up later on, a couple years down the line. But so I get toward the end of I'm 16 months into my mission. I'm senior comp to a guy. I was living with the zone leaders. They were really annoying.
Did you have any worthiness issues? Were you like Max, tortured about anything? Never a question. You would hear the guilty talks about everybody here has something to repent for. You didn't feel any guilt ever.
No.
Wow, you had a carefree existence.
It was just illogical to me. It was like what am I going to feel guilty for? Nobody's perfect. I don't have to be perfect in order to do this. And I'm going to make some mistakes, but who cares? I don't think that I'm not going to have the Spirit with me because I'm listening to Bob Marley. No, maybe some J. Cole and reggaeton slipped in there. But
let's assume that you had a girlfriend before you mission, which you didn't, and maybe you were touching her boobs or something. Would you think you would have felt guilty about it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Why can't you touch a girl's boobs? Where does it say it's a sin to do that?
Her body's a temple, bro, and you ain't got a temple recommend.
Yeah, but my body's a temple too. We're just two temples
I know
touching.
you should rub the temples together, baby. Let's go.
Like, I don't understand.
Let's
Like,
go.
it just, like, in my mind, it's black and white. It's like, if you break the law of chastity, which is having sexual relations before marriage, it means you have to have sex. Then if you're not having sex, then it's not a problem. Like, if you can kiss each other, then why can't you grab a boob? What's the difference?
Because the prophet says you can't. The strength of youth says you can't.
Yeah, but the strength of use changes.
Unless you're the prophet. Then you can do whatever you want.
So that started, I didn't have any guilt about any of it. It was mostly fighting with authority. And like, I would feel guilty if I felt like something was right. The only time I ever felt guilty is if I felt like something was right and I would go against it to fit in or not get in trouble. I'd rather get in trouble than feel guilty for doing what I thought was wrong.
Okay. So at this time, you're kind of progressing. How far are we into the mission now?
Almost to the end.
Okay. We're almost at the end. Are you thinking, like, what were you thinking about at home? What were we saying, or what were you saying to us, or what was your impression of that?
I mean, Max came home in August, so that I would have been like just under a year
August
into
of
my mission.
2019. Okay.
That would have been like, I would have been like just under a year, like 9 months into my mission. I remember Max coming home and then calling me and being like, dude, our family doesn't really go to church anymore. And I was like, wait, what? Like, I knew Simon had been ditching seminary a ton because he would call me in the morning. He's like, yeah, I don't really go to seminary. I mean, yeah, seminary was tough for various reasons. Like, getting up early is hard. Having an aunt and uncle as the people in charge of your seminary class is also terrible. It's like having your uncle or your mom in charge of the school you go to. It's like just everywhere you go as a family member yelling at you because you're doing the wrong thing.
Well, it probably depends on which aunt and uncle it is too.
And so, he didn't go to seminary, and it didn't really bother me. I didn't really, like, as a brother, I wasn't like, dude, you need to go. And I just was never like that spiritual or like preachy about anything. I just never got, I don't think I ever would reach out to you guys and be like, you guys need to be going to church, or like what, like mom, I knew mom didn't wear garments. I knew she drank coffee, and that just was her decision. That doesn't bother me. I don't care. It's not my business. But Max came home and was like, hey, our family doesn't go to church anymore. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, they don't go to church? I knew a little bit. I could tell. Before I left on my mission.
We went. We just would like leave.
Yeah, before my mission, after Max left, you guys would go to church, and then a lot of times you guys would leave. And then me and Simon and Quentin would drive home. You guys would take Joe.
Oh, yeah. We would take Joe with us.
You guys would take Joe because she didn't want to be there.
Listen, I had to rescue Joji.
And so I would have to take Simon and Quentin home. And I was like, Mom and Dad are always skipping second hour of church. What the heck? I didn't really care that much. Oh, there were 3 hours back there. Yeah. And so, yeah, I don't know. You guys were really supportive. I mean, you told me before going on my mission, like, you don't have to go if you don't want to. You tried to plant some seeds of doubt in me.
Seeds of truth.
Which snowballed. But for the most part, you guys were really supportive. There was never a time where I felt like anyone was telling me I have to stay or I can't come home. There were definitely times toward the end where you guys were like, if you want to come home, it's okay. We're not going to be mad at you. And I just read in my journal today, I was reading through some of it, and I wrote, like, it's really nice to have like supporting family. Like a lot of these kids, like, they're like, I would go home right now, but my family would never talk to me again. I'd be like the biggest failure ever. So going into the end of my mission, didn't have any baptisms. I wasn't taking people to church was the problem. I would not do the stupid remise thing. I would not pick people up. And there was a little kid, my area was like right here, and the zone leaders, they bordered my area, and the bus route went right down the middle. And when they would go to church, there was this little kid that was always playing outside. And
how little?
He was 8 years old.
Okay.
And the zone leader, Elder Covey, his dad is actually Stephen Covey, who wrote the books Highly Effective People, whatever.
Hold on, that doesn't make sense, by the way.
Why not?
I bet that Covey was his grandpa.
No, so there's the grandpa wrote the Highly Effective People, and then his son wrote more highly effective books, and then his son was on my mission.
So, okay, yeah.
I always thought he was a really cool guy. He was like fun to be around, and he would make Oreo waffles and bribe people to go to church. Like, people, it was very common in Argentina to pay people money to come to church or to bribe little kids with, which looking back is really weird. Like, you're a 20-year-old. Some of these missionaries were 25. They're as old as I am now. Imagine me going up to like Quentin, like knocking on the door and talking to Quentin. Hey, do you want to come to church on Sunday? We'll give you brownies if you come to church. We'll come pick you up. It was a problem in Argentina. Yeah. There was you've heard of Carlos Tevez. He grew up in Fuerte Apache, and there was an elder who went in there whose family was very, very wealthy, and he would pay people US dollars to go to church. and the gang that ran the whole neighborhood, they put a hit out on the missionary. Like, this guy's he's being creepy with kids. They had to take the missionaries out of the area for 9 months of my mission.
What did Tevez have to do with that?
No, that's just where he's from.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's what Fuerte Apache is famous for, is Carlos Tevez being there. Okay. But so that was very common. I never did any of that. So when I was in charge, I wasn't having people come to church because I wouldn't pay them or whatever. And these guys got this little kid who was on the side of the road. Now, he lived in my area. He didn't live in their area. He lived on my side of the street. And so I was the one in charge of him because that's my priesthood keys. And so they got him to come to church with the Oreo waffles twice. And they're like, hey, he's been to church twice. You guys need to baptize him. And I was like, I've already talked to his dad. The dad hates the church, wants nothing to do with it. The kid will never go to church. I was like, I'm not baptizing this kid. Well, that backfired. They sent that Wednesday, they sent out the 2 APs came to my apartment. My companion had a headache, so we didn't go out because he wasn't feeling good. At 12 o'clock, I get a text. You need to be at your apartment for the next 2 hours. The APs, so the assistant presidents, who are like the top guys, and then the zone leaders, that's like the next tier down. There's 4 of them plus the 2 that I lived with. So there was going to be 6 zone leaders and 2 APs who were going to come and talk to me. It turned out my companion, who was a total sleazebag, he had been kissing girls on the mission, swimming in swimming pools, which were rules that I never broke. The only rules I really ever broke were like listening to music and sleeping in. And he had ratted me out and had called them and said, hey, he's not baptizing. He's not focused on numbers. He's lying about the numbers every night. That's not really what we're doing. And so they came out and they tried to rip me a new one. They tried telling me I was unworthy to be on the mission. I'm wasting my time. I'm going to regret this the rest of my life. And I just stood my ground. I was like, I don't care. Go read Boyd K. Packer's talk. Go read what he had to say to the mission presidents. We shouldn't be baptizing people who don't want to go to church. This 8-year-old doesn't want to go to church. I'm not going to baptize him. It's my area. I'm the one in charge. So unless you guys want to go against the calling that the president made from God to put me in charge of this area, then that kid's he's not going to get baptized. As long as I'm in this area, he's not going to get baptized. 7 hours later, I get a phone call. Hey, you're being moved areas. You're junior companion to a kid who was 2 months into the mission and had no experience. And I was 16 months into the mission. So that was really insulting. And he actually put me in one of the areas that I had already been in, which usually doesn't really happen. And so that I kind of had my wit's end. I went to this is right as COVID is starting. And I go to the internet cafe and I call my mom and I'm like, this is what's happening. What am I supposed to do? She's like, you just go talk to your mission president and just tell him how you feel. And so I was like, okay. So I went in, I made up a list of I went down to my apartment. I made a list of all the things that were bothering me in the mission. And I went in and had a meeting with him. And I just said, these are my issues. This is how the mission's being run. There were crazy stories, missionaries would baptize dead people to get their numbers, or they would baptize 7-year-olds, or you're supposed to have your bishop sign the line, and they would just sign it for the bishop. So they would just do it without the bishop's permission. And so I started talking about, and these are stories of I was living with a kid who was living with that kid, and that kid was doing all this. And the mission president was like, those are just rumors, Elder. He's like, and I've heard you're a very disobedient missionary. And I said, well, guess what, mission president? Those are just rumors. And then he didn't like that I was kind of talking back to him. And then he's like, I'm the mission president. I was put in charge. God called me to this area and I received revelation and you need to listen to what I have to say. And I'm telling you that you need to baptize people. And I said, well, that's not what the prophet said. And he said, from my superior, so the area authority over all of that part of South America, he's like, the area authority above me told me that talk doesn't apply to any of these missions. And I was like, so what the prophet said doesn't apply to this part of the world? And he was like, no, it does not. And I said,
did you speak English?
Yeah. I spoke to him in Spanish, only in Spanish. And it got heated. I went in pretty hard. I didn't go in hey, I'm having some problems. I went in hey, these are the problems that I'm having. And I'm kind of pissed off about it, that I'm getting bumped around the mission, yelled at by everyone for me trying to do what the prophet is saying that I should be doing. And then he went off, you're a disobedient missionary. And then I said, those are just rumors. And then he was like, I'm the one in charge. And if you don't listen to me, you can either listen to me or you can go home. And I said, well, I'm not going to do what you're saying to do. He's like, all right, then you need to go home. And I said, okay, sounds good. When am I going home? Send me my plane ticket information right now. As soon as you can get it, send it to me. So then I went back to my apartment. They put me in a trio with the zone leaders who dragged me around. Everyone was pretty mean to me after that because they're like, oh, this guy must have really screwed up if they're sending him home. Then he made me call my stake president and my bishop and my parents to tell them I'm coming home. I think that what he was thinking was that someone was going to talk me out of it. So first I called my bishop, Mike Gardnier, nicest guy ever. Dude, that totally makes sense. Like, he didn't hesitate for a second. Not for 1 second did he hesitate and try and tell me I should stay, or that the mission president's right, or that what I'm feeling is wrong. He was like, if that's the way you feel, that's fine. Call my family, totally fine, whatever. Call my stake president. Oh yeah, I served a mission in Fiji, and elders would jump off of the docks and say the baptism prayer in the air, and then they would land in the water, and they would do it with like 5 or 6 people at a time. He told me that really bothered him. He's like, so I can understand why this is bothering you. And I'm like, all right, everyone's on my side. This is great. Call my mission president. And I'm talking in the internet cafe with other missionaries around me, and I'm like going off about all these issues. And then he calls me when I'm in the middle of talking to someone. He yells at me like, you can't talk about this in front of other missionaries. You're going to ruin their faith, blah, 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 whatever. So I call him after, hey, I talked to everyone. It's done. When am I going home? I don't know. I need to arrange that.
So you call this bluff?
Yeah. He's like, I don't know. I need to figure it out. And I'm like, all right, well, I want to go home sooner rather than later, because right now everyone's just being jerks to me, and I don't want to be here with everyone treating me like I just murdered someone. And so then later that day, I get a phone call. I'm with the zone leaders, and they get a phone call from the president on their phone, and he's like, put me on the phone with Elder Hewlett. So I get on the phone, and Dave Walker's on the phone with my mission president, and he's trying to convince me to stay. What I think happened is it's hard to send a missionary home. Like, it's pretty hard to get them home. Like, they have to do something pretty serious to be able to like send them home, unless they're asking to go home. And so Dave Walker was trying to tell me like, hey dude, you don't have to invite anyone to be baptized. Like, trying to like take this weird approach where it's like, you can just be like complicit, but like, you don't actually have to do it. And I didn't like that at all. That like made me really angry. So I was like, no, this is so stupid. I was like, he said that if I'm not going to listen to him, I need to go home, then send me home. And then he was like, okay. I was like, I want my plane ticket information. Like there's no reason I shouldn't be able to go home in the next 3 days. And so they're like, okay, whatever, get off the phone. It turned out like, and then that day it was like coronavirus going crazy. All the missionaries have to go to a supermarket to buy 2 weeks worth of food in case there's a lockdown. It was like insanity. And I'm like, I don't have a phone. I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know what coronavirus is. So I was kind of freaking out. And then they got me a plane ticket. And
that was it.
I got the last plane from New York to here. I was like the only one in the airport.
I remember it was eerie.
It was freaky.
But I remember the bishop showed up, and I always remember.
Yeah, Mike Gardnier was there.
Shout out, Mike. We love you. We always give you flowers on these ex-Mormon shows. All right, so at the time that you left the mission, did you still think the church was true? It was more like, yeah, I'm being more faithful to the church than these people are.
I'm being more faithful to God, not to the church, because I'm like, I don't know what the church is doing, I don't know what they're saying, but I feel like this is right. And the whole mission, I read the Book of Mormon probably 3 or 4 times. There's a promise at the end that if you read it and you pray about it, you'll get confirmation. Now, here's something I realized on the mission. I don't know if you know this. In that chapter of Moroni, it says, pray to know that these things are not true.
Right.
Which is weird. Because if you ask God, is this not true? I thought of it like if Joseph Smith was not a dumb farm boy, he's really smart, and you word it the right way. If you pray and ask God, are these things not true? And then you get an answer, that means they're not true. If you don't get an answer, that means that they are true. Does that make sense?
I have to read it. It's been a while.
It says, I just remember reading it and saying not true.
I think it's just poorly written. 18th century.
Are you sure?
18th century.
I thought maybe he was trying to be tricky. So I prayed a lot on my mission to try and know if the Book of Mormon is true, and I never felt like I got an answer, not a single time. Like, never. The only times I ever felt good was when I was with people that I felt like they cared about me and loved me, like members that would take care of us. These poor members who have nothing, and they'll give us lunches and give us dinners. That was the only time I really felt good.
¿Cómo te llamamos?
Elder Hewlett.
No, nombre completo.
Marshall Hewlett.
What?
Marshall
Hewlett.
Hewlett.
¿Con H es Hewlett?
Sí.
¿O con J?
Con H.
Ah.
Y J los dos.
Marshall Hewlett, you received the blessing. ¿Tiene mucho pecado?
No, estoy bien.
Really?
Sí.
Mentiroso.
Gracias.
No, pará, sit down.
No, estoy...
Hey, sit down.
Finished!
Yeah, the Argentinians are cool.
They were super cool. I mean, they're very prideful people, and they think that they're the best country in the world. And to them, that is fair. To them, they are the best. We think we're the best country in the world. They think they're the best country in the world. Good for them. At least they have some pride about it. And so,
They might be right. Who knows?
They're the best at soccer in the world as of the last World Cup. But yeah, so I never got confirmation that the Book of Mormon is true. But that never discounted it for me because it was all based on logic in the first place. It was all like, it makes sense. And I would find little things and little nuggets in the Book of Mormon that would make it make sense. Like, oh my gosh, that all clicks. That makes so much sense in my brain. This must be true.
Did you feel, so at the time you left, you didn't have like any major unresolved sin?
No.
So you come home, we got about, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes left. So you get home. I know it was a tough time because it was COVID. We were all locked in. You were dealing with the issues. You're having a little culture shock. All this shock. You tried to go to college. Like, what did your life look like after that? What happened to did you ever reach a point where you didn't believe in the church? And then what happened after that?
I mean, we didn't go to church. I didn't even do like virtual church here. We did Bishop Quinton Church.
Yeah, he was
for
good
a while.
too.
He was a very good bishop. I remember there being a podcast that it was about, I don't remember what it was about, but you had said to me and Max, you're like, hey, there's a Mormon Stories podcast. It wasn't something very controversial. It was like, I don't remember if it was Mount Meadow Massacre. I don't remember what it was, but I was like, oh, I want to listen to this. This sounds cool. It's called Mormon Stories. Like, that sounds good. Right. And so I'm like, oh, I'm going to listen to this. And then within 2 minutes, they say something about CES letter. I'm like, oh, what is that? So I started looking at the CES letter. I mean, within 3 days, it was like, because my whole testimony was built on logic and someone just disassembled every logical argument for why the church is true in one essay, it just completely fell apart like that. Like, there was no question for me. It just made sense. It was like, oh yeah, that actually, now that I think about all of the things that the church does and the ways that they operate, this all makes sense. Yeah, this is like kind of a whole setup. Like, this isn't what I was told. But it was really frustrating because it was like, I don't know. I just felt like, why is this information so... Some of it wasn't surprising. Like, I had already read the gospel topic essays, but the thing that bothered me the most was like the Book of Mormon stuff, like about Joseph Smith. And because that was the thing that I felt like I could never disprove. Like, yeah, sure, there's prophets that screw stuff up all the time. If I was a prophet, I'd probably screw stuff up. But there's all this stuff about before the church was really even started, like getting started, and how Joseph Smith came about, that just didn't add up and didn't make sense. And that really, from a logical standpoint, that really, really, really bothered me. There was no overcoming that.
Did you ever reach a point? Just 3 days, CES letter, 3 days later, it's over.
3 days later, I put my garments in a trash bag.
Dang.
There was a lot of time there. That wasn't right off my mission. I got back in March, and that wasn't probably until September or October.
Were you talking to Max about any of this stuff?
No.
It's weird. None of us really talked about it. Mm-mm. I don't think we wanted to influence anybody else, although it sounds like I influenced you a little bit.
I knew that you didn't. There was times where I was angry because I felt like you and Mom had like taught us, like growing up, like this is what we should be doing, this is what we should be doing. And then it felt like when that happened and I was ready and everything was falling apart, I felt like I wanted to talk to you about it, but I knew it was kind of like when I would grow up and ask you about politics, you would kind of just like shrug it off. Like, I'm not going to give you an answer for you to go to school and be like, my dad voted for Mitt Romney.
I didn't.
But you would kind of like shrug that stuff off. Like, I don't want to influence my kids. I want them to come to their own conclusions and that kind of stuff. So, yeah. So I went through that all pretty much by myself. And yeah, from the time I read the CES letter, within 3 days, I had bagged up my garments and went and bought normal underwear at the store and was like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore.
Did you worry about like what we would say or?
Didn't care.
Yeah.
Didn't care about what anybody would think. Like, it just didn't matter to me. I was like, this is, and I actually would kind of feel like angry because I was like, anybody who knew this and didn't tell me, I feel like that was like betrayal. Like, why would you not tell me what is true?
Like, what are the top 3 things that you think that are the top 3 hidden things in Mormonism? That, like, if everybody in Mormonism understood the reality of these 3 things, it would be so clear to them that it's a farce.
The top 3 things. I would say black people in the priesthood is probably at the top of the list, actually.
Okay.
Like, how are you behind on the event? Like, you're behind the civil rights movement on that. It seems like you should be ahead of it. That's a big deal. And saying you don't get to fully participate because of the color of your skin, when that's always been, it's not like Nephi and Lehi were white. I mean, they say that they were, but they weren't.
Did you
white.
know that your grandpa fought that fight?
Who?
Grandpa Les.
Oh, really?
When he was in Ireland, he was trying to baptize a black woman, probably the only black woman in Ireland, and they were discouraging him from baptizing her, even though black people, they're not African Americans, of African descent, they could be baptized. They just couldn't get the priesthood or do any of the higher things. But they were discouraging him from baptizing her, saying it's just going to be too hard. And he actually had an interview with Spencer Kimball.
He
wasn't the prophet at that point, but I think he was
soon to be.
No, he was an apostle.
He was a prophet.
He was an apostle. And he had an interview about that. So, and then it was actually Kimball who got the revelation probably 69, 71. So probably 8 or 9 years later, had the revelation to end it. So my dad always felt like he was part of the fight.
He was part of the fight.
He was part of the fight, yeah.
I like that.
Anyway, keep going.
So I would say that's on the list. I would say the actual translation of the Book of Mormon.
Your question is, why would God withhold full membership in his church for people who are of a certain skin color?
Yeah, when Jesus was like not white. Like nobody in any of the Bible was white. Those people were all, not white, brown.
Well, women still can't have the priesthood. So he was racist until 1971. Now he's still sexist. God.
Yeah, but I mean, like...
But that makes sense.
They
should cook banana bread. That's it.
Exactly. Like, you're there to cook banana bread and give me some brownies.
Okay, number one, what's number two?
I would say number two is the actual, like, the physical translation of the plates. The way that I was always taught is that he had the Urim and Thummim, and that's how he translated it. And then to learn that he wasn't even looking at the plates when he was translating them is like, then what's the whole story? Logically, for me, the whole point was there's these plates, these have the records. He translated these plates over, and... when he translated them over, those are the stories. But then it's like, yeah, but he wasn't translating that. I would say the translation of that and the Book of Abraham was a huge one.
Well, let's talk about the second one. So the story is he gets these plates out of the ground. They're actually gold plates that the people in the olden days in Americas, the prophets, kept the records. And his testimony was that the story is that he would use an instrument from God called the Urim and Thummim to basically translate these plates. And so there's paintings of the church of him like pouring over the plates, and his scribes on the other side of a curtain writing it down. But in reality, the plates never really were uncovered. They were hidden, covered up, and he was putting his head inside of a top hat.
Looking at a rock.
Looking to a peepstone rock. And apparently characters were coming up that somehow the book over there Bluetoothed the translation over to the thing. I guess through God anything is possible.
No, through from a religious standpoint, that's still defensible because it's like, well, God was doing it. But I'm like, yeah, but then why didn't you just tell that story in the first place? Why would you not just say that?
Either story requires faith, but why are you telling a rosier story?
Exactly. And it kind of like was with the first vision, same thing. So it kind of brought that back up. And then the Book of Abraham's kind of next to it. It was supposedly the prophet Abraham had a separate text, and Joseph Smith somehow in the United States got access to this text, and he translated it. And it's a lot about the creation of the world and the different heavens and all this stuff. And it turns out it was a funerary text. Yeah, it was not legit.
It was like old scrolls, and they did date back a long ways. But he got caught because they actually he translated them, and there's books in the church with the Pearl of Great Price.
Yeah, Pearl of Great Price.
That is actually translation of those scrolls that are supposedly like, Abraham stuff.
It's canonized doctrine.
It's still the doctrine. And the problem is that they later found the scrolls. They were in Chicago in some library. Part of them were destroyed. And real people actually translated them, and come to find out had nothing to do with Abraham. It was somebody's
funeral.
It had nothing. Whatever's in the book of Abraham and the Mormons use is nothing what's on this place. It's a full-on disapproval.
But it's the same thing. Like you could just say, like from the religious standpoint, well, he wasn't actually translating the thing. He was translating what God wanted him to have.
They call it like a catalyst.
But the problem is, then why do you say that? Why are you going to tell me that it's actually the text and then it has to come out later? It's a lot of that same pattern over and over again. The third thing that I would say...
You've already done 3, but let's go on.
No, those are hand in hand. Because all the translation stuff is all like messed up. I mean, for me, the Mount Meadow Massacre was a big deal, but that isn't really disapproval. It's more like distrust, I would say.
Well, I think Brigham Young was at fault, so...
Yeah, it's disputed. I've looked into it a lot. It's disputed. You could take from either side. You could take a good
I don't
angle.
think Brigham Young gave the orders to shoot, but when he says
he did it not.
That these people need to atone for the blood of. I mean, what does the song say we sing in church still?
I don't know.
What's the song that said the something must atone, earth must atone for the blood of that man? About the death
about
of
Joseph,
Joseph?
yeah. No, I'm just saying that it was more like they asked him, should we kill these people? And they're like, it's disputed if there should have been enough time for him to respond, but somehow the response like didn't get there. It was like they had like 2 weeks to respond. They didn't, and it didn't get there on time, but like, I don't know. So I would say Mountain Meadow Massacre. That's a big thing in my opinion. Like anybody who goes to church and you have a bishop telling you what to do, like just remember there was once upon a time, not a bishop, not a stake president. There was an area authority who was telling people to go kill other human beings, and they did it. And that doesn't make it okay. You can't use that as a cop out and
They
say
massacred them. It wasn't so bad.
It's horrible.
And then they tried to blame it on the Native
Americans. And so it just is, there might be little things, but like bishops aren't perfect, stake presidents aren't perfect, prophets aren't perfect. They've screwed stuff up probably more times than most people would. Like it seems like they have their own ideology, and that's what gets pushed through the church. And you have these old people who are 90 years old running the church, and it takes them dying off and someone else coming in to actually change it to what it's supposed to be. But that's not how it's supposed to work with God. God's supposed to be on top of it, and they should be. I legitimately do not believe in any sort of revelation. On my mission, the whole revelation thing went totally out the window. Even on the prophetic level, don't believe in it. Didn't believe in it at all. Doesn't make any sense. I feel like it infringes on the concept of free will. If God's willing to tell you what to do, then what is to stop you? Like, how are you supposed to make your own decisions if God will just tell you what to do all the time? And why was he not telling me what to do?
Well, you have to live in a way that makes you worthy for God's guidance. It's a reward. It's not him telling you.
Yeah, but it's the reward is you're no longer choosing. If God told you right now, hey, you should go eat ice cream right now, and you don't do it, then you're just retarded.
Well, we have to bleep that out.
We don't have to bleep it out. No offense to all the retards out there. I don't know. That's what I think that it infringes on free will. The idea is that we come to earth. In my mind, if God was to make us to come to earth, we would come here, have our own experiences, and he wouldn't tell us what to do. He would just see what we do. What happens with these people?
That's how your missions were. You used to go on a mission and you couldn't call home and talk to mom or dad. So that's how earth should be, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you should just go home.
So let's talk about a couple more minutes left. What's your life like now? You mentioned before that you wanted to discuss life after it. And so talk about life now that you're no longer. Are you still in the church?
Technically, yeah.
Oh, you're getting X'd after this.
Just in case.
You're getting X'd. I haven't been X'd yet.
Wait, X'd
why am I not
what?
getting excommunicated yet? I've been on these things so long, being literally apostate. It's not true. It's a complete scam. Come get me.
Yeah, but what stuff have you said that's not in a gospel topic essay?
I literally just spoke out in open opposition to the Lord's anointed,
I guess that's true.
who literally walks on his own water. He lives right around the corner.
The other thing that bothered me, by the way, separate note, was John DeLynn getting excommunicated, and then like a year later coming out with all the gospel topic essays. That, like, in my mind, really like pissed me off.
The one who got excommunicated, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, he did the CS letter.
No, it was a guy who was from Texas, and he was really against the youth interviews being one-on-one, and he like protested in front of the church headquarters about you shouldn't do youth interviews with one-on-one. You should have someone there with the kids, and he actually got excommunicated for that, and then they changed the policy. Okay, so what's life like now? Are you religious? What's going on?
I'm not religious at all. I don't believe in religion as a concept. I think that it causes more harm than it creates. Religion, organized religion. I just think that you end up with exactly what happened to me on my mission. That just is how all, not even religions, just human organizations are run, but religion's run by humans. So I don't like that. I did have 2 years after my mission, the smoker lady, she died. And for some reason, it like really tripped me up. Felt really guilty
What'd
about
she die
it.
of?
Probably lung cancer from smoking.
Probably too much fruit, diabetes.
Yeah, too much citrus. I remember feeling really guilty because I felt like I had told her that, like, if you keep smoking, you're not going to go to heaven. And I was like, what if, like, in her last moments of life, like, she thought, like, I didn't ever stop smoking, I'm not going to go to heaven now. And that really, really bothered me. Like, I was, like, seriously thrown off for, like, a whole week. And
Wondering if when she was dying, she was thinking about
just like in her like ending, like she knew it was coming. She would have been diagnosed. She would have been dying slowly. It wouldn't have just been like she just died. Like it wasn't a heart attack. And so I just was like, man, I feel really bad. Like just knowing of the possibility that she could have been thinking about some of the things that I said to her as she's getting closer to death. Like maybe I screwed up my life. I'm like, I don't even believe in that anymore. So I felt really guilty about that. But now I got big into philosophy for a while, like into Stoicism. One of the big principles is, or one of the analogies that one of the Stoic philosophers used was like a cave, and that people are inside a cave and the light coming in through the door is creating a shadow on the wall, and that's what we all see. And so it's like it's kind of talking about like religion, right? Like you can kind of, you live in this cave and you think that the shadows on the wall are real until you step out of the cave and you realize all along they were just shadows. But the problem is you never know what cave you're in. Like I'm still in a cave. Like I was raised in the United States. I was taught certain things. And so I've just become very like, I don't know, mistrusting. Like I don't really trust information from anybody, or like, I think that there's a good chance that this is all just like a simulation. So,
well, we know birds aren't real.
Yeah, birds are not real. And so that's where I've kind of landed is I don't know if there's a God. I'm not an atheist. I hope there's a God. I hope we don't just die and rot.
There has to be something.
Things
are too, dude.
I hope
things are too beautiful. Like music makes you feel too good. You see these beautiful views. Go to the ocean and feel it. It's something.
Yeah,
there has to be something.
I hope there's something. And the biggest thing that I've realized coming out of the religion and feeling
good
like
food.
Yeah, but you're on the end of the spectrum where you really appreciate those things. There's a lot of people that doesn't mean anything to them.
Well, then they need to learn God better.
I guess so. I have been more okay now with like not knowing. And I think that that's something that probably props up religion more than anything, is everyone feels like you have to know what's going to happen. And people get up in a testimony meeting and say, I know God is real. I know this. And the truth is you don't know. You don't even know if you're in a simulation or not. So you don't really know anything. And so being comfortable and saying, I don't know if there's God. I don't know if Jesus was a real person. I don't know if he died for my sins. I don't know. The truth is, I don't know if Joseph Smith did or didn't do the whole Book of Mormon thing. Like somehow he wrote the Book of Mormon. There's not a lot of documentation on it. Somehow he did it. Do I agree with the way the Mormon church is run now? Absolutely not. So, I mean, even if Joseph Smith was the prophet right now,
well, that'd be even worse.
Then I could like look into it a little bit more. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. And so I'm okay like saying I don't know. And there's a lot of religions out there, and I think that they all believe in pretty much the same stuff. Be a good person. Try and improve your life. Like, I don't know, be honest, be charitable. Like all of the core principles, they span across all the religions. And I think that probably gets overlooked more, and people get caught up in more of the actual religion side of it.
What else?
No, I mean, I really hope. For a long time, right when I stopped going to church, it really bothered me because for a year and a half, I thought to myself, my grandpa died. I really loved my grandpa. When my grandpa died, it was really, really sad. It was really tough. And I spent a year and a half telling myself that it's okay, I'm going to see my grandpa again. It's okay, I'm going to see my grandpa again. And then coming to a place where it's like, I don't know if I'm going to see my grandpa again. Like that could have been it. It could have. Maybe I won't ever see my grandpa. Maybe when my family dies, maybe I won't ever see them again. Like that is a possibility. That's something that Max said, like you have to cherish your time here because you don't know what's going to happen. But at the same time, you can still hope that there's something else. You can still hope that I get to see my grandpa, but I'm not going to hedge my bets that it's going to happen. I'm going to try and take advantage of the time that I have here and just be hopeful. And I still get worked up and angry sometimes about church stuff because I feel like some people just turn a blind eye to a lot of it. And that really bothers me. I'm not a blind eye turner. I don't just ignore stuff. And it bothers me that there's people who would look at something and say, you know, missions are good. Like, I don't know if I believe that missions are good. Like, I really don't. I think that there are parts of the church that are great. There's some things that I still think are awesome. I don't understand why most people leave the church and throw everything out. The idea of like family home meetings is kind of cool. You have a night designated every week where you hang out with your family and you get together. That's a cool idea. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a generous person. Like, that's still good. But I don't think missions are good.
Well, they're just like Trek. They could be good, but they just find a way to mess it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how every single one, and maybe some people have different missions, different mission presidents. I don't know. But human nature usually wins, and that's usually people go on a power trip.
Oh, it's definitely bad. I wouldn't take mine back.
I wouldn't take my mission back either.
I wouldn't want to do it again. Hell no. But I wouldn't take it back.
But
I don't know. I don't know how you simulate something similar unless you do military. Like you need to have some sort of experience in that time frame that's going to give you an underpinning of like, you know, you've been in the shit and you're nowhere near the shit that you've been in, and so you know if you need to get in the shit, you'll get in the shit and be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've never been in the shit, you don't know how far you can go.
Yeah, it's true. It does make you grateful for being born here.
Grateful,
in the United States.
it gives you an underlying confidence of like, it did make me grateful to be born here. I wish I was born in Guatemala.
Why?
Because they have their priorities straight, man. They just worry about the little things. They're not worried about what handbag they're fucking wearing.
Yeah, it's true.
Don't get me going on handbags.
Do get carried away. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. I don't know. I would just encourage people to like be okay not knowing what is going on. Like, it's so uncomfortable for a long time. That was like the hardest thing, is like, you don't know, like, you know, for everything, you have an answer for everything. 1 + 1 is 2. You can explain everything. And we were even watching a movie last night and we were talking about the science, like the medical field. And like, these people believe in what they're doing as if it is a religion.
Mm-hmm.
Like the people who are telling Grandpa Les to get treatment, like mom had Kim's friend look at it and he was like, yeah, he's got the glioblastoma. He's going to be dead in 6 months. And these other people are like, he can live for 18 months. We got to do treatment. Like, they're unreasonable in their own way. And that's like a different kind of religion.
Yeah. Any belief system where you don't take into consideration the fact that you can be wrong. I feel like sometimes science is a little bit, then I think it's a problem. That's why I always maintain I could be wrong. Like, the Mormon religion could be right.
Yeah, I say the same thing.
But I'll tell you what, if that's Mormon God, I'm not interested, bro. Send me to wherever I'm supposed to be, where I'm a eunuch or whatever the freak is going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Not interested in your nonsense, Mormon God. What do you say to people who claim they have like inspiration? They feel like inspired from God and to give them guidance in their life.
I have dreams every night too. I just don't think that God gave them to me. I have a dream. If I have a dream that I'm doing something, I just think that it's just a dream. Like, you can make anything, you can turn anything, any experience that you have into something greater if you want to. I could get in a car crash every single day of the week and I don't. And I could say those are tender mercies, or I could say it's just statistics. Like, or I'm just paying attention when I drive. I just have control over my life and I don't get in a car crash.
I guess people need to feel, isn't the church say it's bad to be commanded in all things? You may not remember that. I go a little deeper with you than you do. I got like twice the experience in this thing than you do.
But I just don't believe in revelation.
But my point is saying that people feel like they're like, to your point, they don't feel comfortable not knowing. And so they're going to create the answers in their head.
Yeah.
To give them directives, because they don't want to be responsible for their own decisions. Mm-hmm. It's got to be based upon some guidance they got. So they don't want to own it.
Yeah.
That way, if you put it in God's hands, he gets the blame, or he gets the blame. He gets the
blame either way.
He gets the he gets the gratitude either way.
Yeah.
Either way, he helped you or you learn from it, and so it's never your responsibility.
It just seems like I just feel like living your life where you're not. That's why I'm talking about the free will. You're not really making the decisions. You're just saying God is trying to get me to do stuff, and I'm just a pawn on a chessboard. And that, like, are you really learning from the experiences then? Because you're not the one making them. He's making the decisions for you.
But you are still controlling your own destiny, no matter the story you tell yourself.
Yeah.
You just don't want to take accountability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that you're the one in charge, and you know, if it helps you sleep at night, whatever. Like, I don't really judge.
It actually doesn't. It makes it worse. I could not sleep at night if I didn't pray when I was a prayer. If I didn't say a prayer before I went to sleep, I wouldn't fall asleep.
Why?
Because I had to say a prayer every time before I went to bed.
What would happen if you didn't?
I wouldn't fall asleep.
No, but in your mind, what would happen if you didn't say a prayer?
I just feel like I needed to close out the day and talk to God, and it was like a ritual.
He can read. I just always thought he read my mind. He knows what I'm already thinking, so he already knows if I'm grateful or not.
This is dumb, but I felt like, and it felt something. Dude, you're really gonna make me ask?
Exactly.
Okay, I'll follow the rules. So yeah, I would definitely couldn't sleep without it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it is crazy, and I think that coming away from it, like, I feel like I have more control over my life. Like, I'm actually making my decisions. There's no one telling me what to do. If someone tries to tell me what to do now, I'm just not going to listen.
What are you going to tell your kids?
What am I going to tell them about what?
Yeah, about religion.
To listen to this podcast.
Oh, bang. No, you can start with Grandpa Jetchro first.
I've talked about it before, about, like, what would I do if I had an 8-year-old kid and they had a Mormon friend and said, hey, come to church with me? What would I do? What would I do if I had a 14-year-old kid and their friend said, hey, come to church with me? I'm like, no. Am I going to say no? Am I going to be like, yeah, you can go, like, you can go to church. I don't care. Go for it. And then
say, oh, we'll send a letter with you. Send them CES letter.
I would just be more forthright about the information they get and be like, yeah, you can go to church. That's fine. I just want you to know this is all the stuff about that religion. This is how that religion started. And this is all, like, really what happened. So regardless of what they tell you, this is really what happened in that church. I feel like that might work. I don't know.
Well, we'll see. All right. Well, Marshall, I love you. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
I know it's not easy to stand on your convictions and not be swayed, especially when you're a young person, you're dealing with adults and you know, for you to stand up to people who should know better, but who are taking advantage of you. It makes you talk about being in the shit. You're definitely going to stand taller because of that.
Yeah.
And it's nice to know there's still good people out there like your bishop who understood. I think you could just see where you were at and probably at some level really respected your integrity, saying, no, I'm not going to play this game.
Yeah.
And
didn't get that from the stake president, but.
Well, what would you expect? I mean, you can't expect the guy to change his mind now, right?
Yeah, that's true.
He's in deep. So anyway, I just love you and proud of you. And I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing these private thoughts. Anything else you want to?
Sierra Vista Ward, what's up?
For life. For life. All right, peace out.
Bye.
Wait, did that just start? No, that turned off. Did you turn this off?
No. I'm so sweaty. I'm gonna have to take a shower. And I'm not that hot. It is up my.
Well, we're under the lights.
They're hot. It's under the lights.
Like literally, my pants are wet.
When I walked in, I was like, "Oh, it's real stuffy in here."
Oh, my pants are literally soaking wet. All right, good pod.
All right, proud of you. Good job.
Thanks.
Get the editor.
Are there really people in the Sierra, like in the stake and stuff, that they've been giving talks about it, like at church?